Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about SaveState. For those who are unaware, it's a user-friendly GUI application for Windows and Linux to easily back up and restore video game save files. Perfect for games without cloud saves, managing multiple save locations, or syncing your progress across devices. And SaveState just got a big update. So at the time of filming, version 2.0 is the latest and greatest update, and they're calling this one the Cloud and Revolution update. They say, welcome to the new era of SaveState. Version 2.0 is our biggest milestone yet. Completely redefining how you manage your save files. We have rewritten the rules with cloud synchronization, a stunning UI redesign, and officially signed executables for maximum security. And furthermore, because yes, there's more here, they say this release also brings the highly requested app image for Linux and a smarter, faster detection engine. For cloud saves here, they have integrated with Google Drive. And on top of that, because yes, there's even more. I mean, this is a massive update. If you are interested and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, links will be within the GitHub link in the bottom of the description below. I don't hide my sources. But taking a look here for emulation-specific stuff, they say Mednafin full detection support added, Melon DS, Nintendo DS, now uses asynchronous scanning for faster startup, and SNES 9X for SNES and MGBA for GBA, improved profile name sanitization. So overall here for SaveState, if I could sum it up, I would say better, faster, stronger. And speaking about better, faster, stronger, next up here we're talking about Man Revamped. And there's a brand new ROM hack out there for Mega Man. So taking a look at the description, and they say this has been a long time in the making, much like the revamped hacks of 2 and 3, this will complete the original Mega Man trilogy, just in time for the 38th anniversary of the original. Among the features, new weapon behavior with weapons like Hyper Bomb and Rolling Cutter. You got screen, lag significantly reduced, new graphics and sprites to make them more in line with later Mega Man entries and official art, rebalancing of difficulty, and removal of the score system. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Next up, we're shifting from software to hardware here and talking about a really interesting headline that's got a lot of attention. Well, the data behind it has got a lot of attention. So this is up on Video Games Chronicle. Feel free to check out the article for more information. But listen to the headline here. Hardware sales and physical game spending in the US just had the worst November in 30 years. I'm not surprised about that one at all. I mean, I kind of would be surprised if you were surprised, especially if you are a regular viewer of this channel. I think Matt Piscatella does a really good job of summing everything up as to why. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Matt says the average price paid for a new unit of video game hardware in the US during November 2019 was $235. In November 2025, it was $439. It's almost doubled in like 6 years. Furthermore here, just to put this into perspective, 3.9 million units of video game hardware sold in the US in November 2019. In November 2025, it was 1.6 million, almost half. Now, arguably, this paints a pretty good picture, but at the same time here, this is worth pointing out. And if you do any sort of data analysis, you know exactly what I'm about to say here. These two pieces of data could be completely unrelated. You have to be very careful when doing data analysis. Anyways here, that being said, it's very convenient that both of these kind of correlate at the same time. Correlation isn't causation. Just be mindful of that. So we're speculating here, but it does look oddly convenient that you increase the price of hardware and it decreases sales, and by very similar amounts. Furthermore here, though, to help paint the picture in even more vivid colors, and based on this graph, you can kind of argue that correlation does imply causation in this specific instance. Take a look at this graph here from Matt Piscatella, titled US Video Game Hardware Total Units Sold and Average Price Paid, from November 1995 through November 2025. And the orangish yellow line is the price, and the blue bars are the hardware units sold. There is kind of an inverse relationship here. Increase the price, decrease the units sold. It's a little bit muddy in the center, but towards the end, it's very vivid. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I would argue as well, with the economy the way it is, with literally everything getting more expensive, well, mostly everything getting more expensive, I can completely understand people paying less for stuff like video games, especially when stuff like groceries is more expensive. I am curious to hear your thoughts on the matter, but video games realistically are a form of entertainment, and for most people, most not all, they are not a necessity. And when the dollar doesn't go as far as it used to, arguably here, then things get sacrificed, like entertainment. Would I say the video games industry is in trouble? Probably no, absolutely not. But at the same time, this is very telling. And continuing to talk about hardware and pricing and not great news. Listen to this headline up on videocards.com. Nvidia rumored to cut GeForce RTX 50 supply in H1 2026, first half of 2026. RTX 5070 Ti and 5060 Ti to be affected first. And arguably this is thanks to AI and chip shortages. Now it is worth noting that this is currently a rumor. Sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire. I'd be surprised if it was numbers these heavy, but at the same time, you never know. So it's being rumored right now that the supply will be expected to be about 30 to 40% lower year over year compared with the first half of 2025. We're going to have to wait to see what happens moving forward on this one and if rumor becomes fact or if this is discarded as false. I don't know on this one. I could see production slashed at least a little bit. I mean, if prices are going up and they have an overstock anyways, yes, production would slow down because they have an overstock of stuff. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I could see them cut back on supply because they're having problems sourcing chips. Either way, this is not really good news at all. And based on what I'm seeing in the entire industry, I would argue prices in 2026 for a lot of hardware are going to go up. So on a side note here, if you are thinking about picking up some hardware sooner rather than later, may be the way to go, or maybe the way to check out and evaluate. Make the decision on your own here, but at the same time, I mean, this is very concerning. And speaking about concerning things, next up here, we're talking about Mozilla Firefox. Now, we talked about this one just the other day when Mozilla announced that basically they were going all in on AI for Firefox and kind of turning it into an AI browser. Anyways, no surprise, this was met with a whole lot of backlash. A lot of people, myself included, were not happy with that announcement. And that's not to say that AI is bad overall. I mean, I would argue there are some very good applications for AI. However, and the big however here, I think a lot of people, and myself included in this, are just sick and tired of hearing AI and having AI injected into pretty much everything. Anyways here, Firefox has listened and made some adjustments. So on one hand here, they're not getting rid of AI, but on the other hand, they have clarified there will be an AI kill switch to turn everything off, which I actually like. I'm glad this option will be available. I'm glad it's meant to be easy, and I'm curious to see how it will be implemented. However, for myself at the very least, the damage has kind of already been done, and that's not to be dramatic. It's just one thing after another with Firefox here, and as much as I love open source stuff in Firefox as opposed to something like Chrome, at the same time, it's seemingly one thing after another. And I, for one, am just tired of it, so I have switched fully to LibreWolf. Now, I'm not going to lie here. I am hoping that LibreWolf will not follow along the same footsteps as Firefox. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, it is based on Firefox. I've been using LibreWolf for years, and Firefox obviously for even longer than that. But anyways here, for those who are unaware, LibreWolf is a custom version of Firefox focused on privacy, security, and freedom. And it does have stuff like uBlock Origin already installed on it. Now, I would argue here that the relationship between LibreWolf and Firefox is similar, not the same. There are some very big differences, but it's similar to something like GameHub and GameHub Lite. LibreWolf has telemetry stripped out and seems to be private and all of that. It is open source as well. Next up here, we're talking about Xbox 360 emulation with Xenia Edge. And for those who may not be aware, Xenia Edge is yet another experimental fork of the Xenia emulator, mainly based on Xenia Canary, but with the aim of quicker iteration and improvements to Vulkan backend and Linux platform in particular. and Xenia Edge just got a brand new update. If you are interested in this one and wanted to learn more about it, you know where the links are. And there is a video up here on YouTube, and it's titled Midnight Club LA Reflection Bug Emulation Fixed. So it seems like this one has some nice visual improvements. And speaking about updates to forks, next up we're talking about PlayStation Vita emulation on Android with Vita3K. And Vita3K, a fork of Vita3K Android, has just been updated. At the time of filming, it's version 12.5 build 17. So based on the changelog, there's a number of fixes and an audio improvement. Audio mode can now be set in custom config, and they say memory mapping. You can now use all memory mapping. And there's a fix for a crash when added or removed a custom driver. Now, if I'm not mistaken here, the developer of this one is on a Mali device. So for those of you with Mali GPUs, you may be interested in this fork. Next up, we're shifting from Android to PC and talking about Steam. Now, we talked about the GOG winter sale in a previous video, and now Steam is having their winter sale. The winter sale is on now until January 5th and is worth checking out. If you've got a wish list, check that first and see what's on sale, see what you can add to your backlog and probably never play. And on a side note here, as a friendly heads up, voting is now open for the 2025 Steam Awards. So go on ahead and vote for the games that you want to win for each category. And one of the categories that I'm really interested in is Best Game on Steam Deck Award. And speaking about best games, next up we're talking about arguably one of the best games that can now be played in a browser, and that's GTA Vice City. Again, very arguable. That is up for debate, and let me know your thoughts. Anyways, listen to this tweet from GTA 6 Countdown. The original GTA Vice City is now playable everywhere. A team of developers managed to make a browser port of the game that features the original game with all key features, fast startup, all screen resolution, gamepads and touch controls, and local and cloud saves. Absolutely wild. And speaking about wild, next up we're talking about Rust on mobile. And look at this number. This is the global pre-registration count for Rust on mobile. Over 1 million people. 1,047,267 people to be specific. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's a beta that is currently running, a closed beta until December 26th, and I think signups can still happen for it. So feel free to check out their website for more information on the matter, but it does look like a lot of people are looking forward to Rust on mobile. And continuing to talk about games getting ported to mobile, I mean, we've talked about in previous videos, Red Dead ported to mobile, Tomb Raider ported to mobile, Rust coming to mobile. And now Iron Lung is making its way over to mobile. Iron Lung is arguably a much smaller game than the other ones we just talked about. But anyways here, this game was released back in 2022 to very positive review scores. I believe Markiplier is making a movie based on this game, and on top of that, this game is now headed to Android. Now, when I say now headed to Android, I meant to say now on Android. It's currently in Canada, $2.69 to buy, so I'm guessing it's probably about $2 American or maybe even less. It is a short horror game, and if you're interested, well, there's 10 plus downloads already. I'm guessing that's going to increase with time. Let me know your thoughts about that one in the comments below. And very last up here, we're talking about Super Mario World on the SNES and a very interesting ROM hack. So this has just been announced. They say they finally finished JDLC, which stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Japanese Level Design Collab, depending on how you wanted to interpret that. An SMW Rom Hack project by 12 people in the Japanese community. It has now been released. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, this one looks very interesting overall, and it's already got quite a bit of attention. I mean, over 39,000 views. Feel free to learn more about this one. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff, except for the legendary One Fluff who did make an appearance. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.